Hey there, everyone. I'm Ryan Myers, host, producer, and known as your Broadway and Entertainment BFF. Thank you so much for waiting. I apologize for the delay. There were some technical issues. Live show, everyone. Listen, since the last time I saw you, so many exciting things have happened. First and foremost, Broadway has since returned, and I was there at opening night at Wicked the Musical to see it. What a special, special evening that was. That's why the last 2 weeks I haven't been with you. I was at the Wicked on the 14th and then Come From Away on the 21st. So I apologize for the delay, but what an exciting time to be with you and actually talking about Broadway being here and back and fully in return. I have to tell you, I've been at some shows other than Wicked and it has been hot. You know, everyone is excited to return to Broadway. On other news, my first live show in person premiered last Thursday. For those of you who don't know, Live with Ryan Friends on Broadway at Bar 9 premiered this past Thursday and is every Thursday at 7:30. It's a new Broadway-themed talk show where I bring in Broadway's best. I interview them. They perform a song or two. We do trivia. There's giveaways, free shots, some other things as well. And it's a great night. And then immediately following me is Masks and Musicals, where you can get up and sing Broadway karaoke. So it's Theater Thursdays at Bar 9. The address is right in the bio, as you can see, 807 9th Ave between 34th, between 53rd and 54th. That should be an and, not a 7. But I hope you'll come out this week. I have an exciting lineup. It's Donnie Kerr from Jersey Boys, Billy Elliot, and Who's Tommy. I know Nick Walker, who was supposed to be this week. There was a little scheduling issue, so he'll be another time. Next week is Michael Kushner, Drew Gasparini the following, and so many more people to come. So I look forward to seeing you every Thursday at 7:30 at Bar 9. Again, 807 9th Ave. Make sure you're following me to learn more. And before we begin, as always, if you're so inclined, go to ridethenewsguy.com/donate and support the channel, support my show. Your donation means the world to me, and I truly could not do this without you. Truly, thank you so, so much. And with that, let's get started. I'm so excited to welcome today's special guest. Not only is he such a professional in the industry and someone who you're going to get great knowledge and information from, but someone who I look up to, who has helped me so much, someone who I consider a dear, dear friend. Please help me welcome the incredible Vinnie Potestivo. Hey, Vinnie.
Yo, how are you, buddy? You are a good friend. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. How's everything?
Oh, it's good. I'm here in Brooklyn, and it's as good as it can be. We haven't gone out to Broadway yet. I think that Moulin Rouge might be our first. I think that might be the one that brings us back soon, I hope.
That's a
All
good
right.
one.
Have you seen it? Yeah, I'm excited.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm dying to, but it just won Best Musical on Sunday at the Tonys.
Uh-oh. That means I gotta go get my tickets because I know what happens.
Yes, it's going to spike up for sure. So and before we start, I want to show you this. Remember this from 6 years ago?
Oh my gosh. How funny is that?
First time you and I met.
That's so funny. It says Periscope. It's not even long live Periscope.
Yeah. Oh God, that platform with Periscope indeed.
Yeah, right. Like I think Twitter bought it, and it was Twitter video for a bit.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize Twitter no longer has stories. Fleets, they called it for, I guess, a fleeting moment. But
right.
They don't even have that anymore. Change, I tell you.
Wow, I did not even know that they got rid of that. For as quick as it came, it went just as fast.
And rightfully so, I guess.
Yeah. So let's get started. Where did the idea come from to start this new podcast? I have a podcast. And how did you come up with such the cunning name for it?
Oh, I appreciate the compliment on the name. Thank you.
Yeah.
I love naming things, like naming projects. At MTV, I worked at MTV, and I got a big part of my start thanks to MTV in the late 90s and early 2000s. And one of the things that they would always do when they were developing shows was they would always shoot out emails asking people to come up with names for shows. And so I always loved when that email came around. I don't know. I tend to be a little bit literal. The name of my company is Vinnie Potestivo Entertainment. And I thought, well, it's kind of is what it is. So I thought my podcast name should be what it is. And I sat back and I thought, what do I think about podcasts? And it landed on me that like podcasts are one of right now a key in creativity that opens up so many doors. People say, how long do you hope to have it? I'm like, forever. I hope I could talk about creativity and inner creativity and mistakes and blunders with people who we recognize and people who we don't, who we then will soon recognize. And so I thought I would call, I have a podcast and I love Friends. And I like that every episode of Friends, has a similarly, they have this great sort of system for building out their episode names. And it's always the one with so-and-so. And I thought, well, all my podcasts will be, I have a podcast with,
I love
enter my guest name here. Cause that's for me what it's about was being able to be in a creative space with people to talk about their careers currently and in the past, and in the future. And I'm not a manager, and in casting, I got to do that in casting a little bit more so in reality TV when people would come to me and say, I want an image change. I want, when Jessica Simpson was looking for an image change, and what led her to do Newlyweds was that, the idea of her showing people who she really is was it was her idea, because everyone compared her to Britney and Christina Aguilera back in the day,
Yeah.
So I have a podcast. It's a key, man, and it opens up. It's brought so many cool opportunities already. I'm 6 episodes in today, September 28th. I launched my 6th episode with Danielle Fishel, who I'm so excited.
Topanga, for those who don't know, Topanga from Boy Meets World, if you aren't sure who that is.
Yes, and if you're really young, Topanga from Girl Meets World also.
True.
Boss, she came back, she did that Boss move. And in 2005, she had this moment. Her and Lance Bass were hanging out, and they came up to MTV Snowed In, and we were all of a sudden like celebrity say what karaoke, because we had enough people who kind of maybe were going to do it, and it was this interesting moment. And so she wanted to do it, and she's really great at rapping, so they gave her the book of and she ended up coming up with the Busta Rhymes song. And I remember sitting there and I grew up watching Topanga. I grew up watching Danielle Fishel, and I grew up watching her. And to see her bust into Busta Rhymes brought me such a huge, immense amount of joy that when there used to be the show Say About Karaoke on MTV, and I had Joey McIntyre hosted, and Dave Holmes hosted it for many years. But Danielle Fishel hosted it for one summer. And because she was so good at that karaoke Busta Rhymes moment, I just needed more of that. And I didn't realize this then, but that was her first hosting gig. And I love that part about what I get to do in casting and in development. You threw that picture back up, by the way. That's crazy to look at that picture. But I'm in frame. I love this picture because this is me being first. Yeah, get in that frame. Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
This is what I mean though. When you see talent, when I see talent, I can't not reach out and say, I don't know what I'm doing, but I just gotta talk to you and say hi and keep you in my space, because you never know when the right moment's gonna come up, right?
Yeah.
Hysterical.
I know. I was like, I'm gonna take a photo and put it up. I was like, that would be a real
So long story short, that's how I came up with I Have a Podcast. And I hope that and in a month and a half, I'll get to talk a little bit more about where you can see it on DirecTV. Well, it'll turn into a TV show. So I have a podcast on TV, which I'm very excited about, a half-hour TV show about inner creativity, about the creative process. It's kind of like the good part of Bob Ross, and the good part of Inside the Actor Studio meets today's modern creative, because there are so many more people who are producers now, and not just because they're producing theater or media projects. There are so many more creators now, I should say, because of social media. There are millions more, hundreds of millions more creators now in my industry than there was 20 years ago when I started. There was maybe 1,000 creators, a couple of thousand creators. Let's say 50,000 creators on the entire planet that were maybe making producing TV and stuff like that. Now, hundreds of millions. And I'd love to inspire that people. So now that video can scale the way that it does, casting individual shows doesn't feel like I'm making enough impact the way I know now I can be doing by leveraging like my experiences and my understanding of platforms and audience needs and that sort of empathetic approach to development that I have, and marry that with talent development. But I love being first, and I love that picture that you pulled up, by the way. That brings me happiness.
Oh, well, I'm so glad. It brings me so much happiness too. And it's so great that with this podcast, you're able, and then with it being on now DirecTV eventually, to be able to marry the two things, the talent development, casting, and being able to share that wisdom, as you said, with so many people, and the growing number. And every day, I mean, you said hundreds of millions. Every day it grows to be more because so many people nowadays in today's world can produce with just the camera, just the cell phone, you know?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Or voice notes for podcasts is just voice notes even.
Right.
And it's crazy to think, by the way, that we talk about now marrying podcasts and TV.
Mm-hmm.
In 2006, as I was leaving MTV, the last project that I created was a show called Man and Wife. Fat Man Scoop and his wife were going to do this like radio show, and they were going to launch it as a podcast. And I said, no, it's a video podcast. Like, I want to know that you're in your bed recording it, but I don't mind seeing you guys doing it. And we turned that into a TV show. So it's cool. 15 years later, a lot of Housewives,
Yeah,
a lot of Millionaire Matchmaker episodes, a lot of Pregnant and Healed episodes, and Chef Wrote, a lot of silly, a lot of episodes, but all that talent, all of those worlds that I got to explore with everyone else's production company and all the other networks that had me running around, diligently looking for ways to sort of tap into what it's like to walk in someone else's shoe. I love that part of what I got to do in casting.
yeah.
But I have a podcast for me now, and like the stuff I do now about the inspirational piece, about helping people unlock their inner creativity. That's powerful. You already have the tool. I'm looking for my phone. It's like right there. But it's the tools. You already have the tools, and most of you have the skills. Creative people who identify as being creative are lucky because they know that being creative means classes, dance classes, vocal classes, or photography class. They know that it's like conditioning. They know they associate it with being an athlete in the sense of going to the gym and needing to work it and stretch it and fine tune it, your voice and the phrasing and all that piece. And creatives are lucky that they're taught that, but so many more people are now creative who don't identify as being creative. They're founders, entrepreneurs, business owners, lawyers, dentists, non-traditionally creative people who have to create content on social media. And I just love helping that. I love that. So I don't know. And also everyone always says it. Everyone says I have a podcast, so it makes me laugh,
I know. Well,
like,
yeah. No, and it's so funny because everyone always says to me too, oh yeah, your podcast. I'm like, no, I don't have a podcast. It's a live talk show. But it's funny because like I have thought about doing a podcast, but the whole thing of doing this show, the original concept was like, I wanted to break at the time, everyone still is doing a podcast. And I thought, I want to be different. I want to do the visual, talk show sort of feel virtual. I don't want to do the podcast, but everyone has said, oh, your podcast. I'm like, maybe I should take the episodes and turn them into a podcast as well so people can listen to them. Podcast.
Do you know how many other platforms that would put the show, or how many other ways people would be able to just plug in and listen to you when they're driving, cleaning, going to the gym, work, all the places where you don't have them sort of captive. I think it's a wonderful idea. And also I would say this, don't repurpose the entire piece. Maybe just pull out your highlights, and then that becomes even more valuable. That becomes something I would watch twice because I saw you do the long ways. Now I just want the Cliff Note version so I can remember the key takeaways. You know what I mean?
5 or 10
That's
minutes.
a wonderful,
5 to 10 minute.
Do highlights. best of.
Yeah, that's really a good idea. And then, tune in, to the episode on YouTube. Here's the link to watch the full, version. That's a great idea.
Absolutely.
It's a great idea. So
And it's just literally millions of other listeners.
oh,
Right? Do I have to convince you about how many other podcast listeners? There's like they're out there, right?
no, there are.
Do you listen to podcasts?
Oh, yes, I do.
Yeah.
There,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. See right there.
it's great. I love podcasts because they're great. I listen to them, when I'm out and about, but it's great for like with cleaning the house, when I'm showering, when I'm, just getting ready, if I want just noise in the background while I'm working. And they scale the gamut from fun and enjoyable reality sort of TV podcasts to, motivational podcasts, self-worth podcasts,
Yeah.
like even, real day, current topic podcast, it's great.
I think I see a little light in your eye. I'll help you do it, by the way. I'll help you set it up.
Oh, awesome.
I'll show you how to create. I recommend Podbean over Anchor as a place to host podcasts, just because my opinion is Anchor is owned by Spotify, and Anchor has rights to your podcast the same way Instagram has rights to your photo. And some other podcast platforms don't do that. And I could show you how to do it. You need an audio file, original artwork. That's all you need to get a podcast started.
Well, I mean, I'm sure I already have that because I have all the videos. I'm sure you can grab the sound from because I know there's a lot of people who do their podcast like this and then upload it. They'll they'll record with the person.
Oh yeah,
and then record
it. That's
how
I record. So I prefer to record my interviews. So I sit down with a celebrity or a creator in every episode. And I usually do it right here from my guest bedroom. And the reason I do it is because I'm just more comfortable doing it this way. It feels more like this feels like it's just me and you, Rye. I had this condition where I had to take a medicine and it made my mouth like get dry. And I had this condition where my palms got sweaty. Like it looked like I was like in a hot tub. Oh, and it hurt, by the way, it hurts. And I was so stressed out by that green light on my camera at the beginning of this pandemic. And that I'm, producer, casting director, I'm an off camera kind of guy,
right.
Like that light on me, it's new. And then of course I have all the things in my head that you have in your head, some minimizing doubts, some challenging, like, now you taught all those people how to be on camera.
Right.
How are you going to show up?
Oh, yes. The thoughts in our head.
Yeah, right.
The glorious and bad.
I think I was going too fast in my 20s that I didn't have those, or I don't know. But in my 40s, in my early 40s, they creeped. I had sort of shifted into more digital, and I started saying no to casting projects that traditionally I would have said yes to. When you're not on the projects people are expecting you to be on, you get self-doubt, man. But I'm glad I went through it because everyone else in the world just did too. So I wasn't the only person. I would have hated to have been left out on that one.
No, I totally agree. Well, I'm glad you did too. What have you learned though during this process of creating a podcast that you didn't know before?
So there's an active part of self. There's a part of being an active listener that I'm really good at in terms of being connected with somebody and being present and producing and casting. I've always had a very natural sort of conversation off camera, on camera.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that being on camera, or I thought that being in front of a mic would be a little bit more similar. And what I wasn't prepared for is the process is similar, but I listen to myself now. And I don't know if I ever really listened to myself before because I wasn't focused on it. And I wasn't trying to prove anything or say something or get a point across. So I realized that I was experiencing that emotion. Like I felt like I had to prove something or say something in my conversation with people that I just wanted to have a conversation with. Mm-hmm. And I realized that if I just have a conversation with them, which is what I want, And then I can stop it, and then I can go back and edit it, which is also what I want to do. And then I can drop in my words of wisdom, which is also what I want to do. Then I can literally, if I don't try to squeeze everything into that moment. And creating the podcast helped me realize that the more I understand the time that I'm going to allocate to a conversation, to a person, to a project, to an idea, that the more structured I am with that, the deeper I can dive into it, as long as I'm true to time, because time is the one thing that just sucks away. It's just like I'm always like, how does there no more time? How's it time to go to bed? How is the sun already up? I'm not even done with this edit,
Oh,
So,
yes.
and that really it hit me in podcasting about time. I hope we've got like an hour. Is that how long we have?
We have
30 minutes?
No, we
I
have
feel like 15 minutes.
No, we have all the time in the world. StreamYard
I
doesn't.
said on my calendar 6 to 7. So in my mentally,
So, yes, it's
I'm
now
prepared to show up for 6 to 7.
Yeah.
And I don't have to worry about that. And that mentality of this is the most important place for me right now. This is where I'm supposed to be. You're who I'm supposed to be talking to. I've been looking forward to for weeks, years going back to that photo. But just to share that energy, and I just get to do that, and I just get to be present in that, and that's because I've allocated the time. And that's because I've allowed myself to give myself the opportunity to have the space to be effective the way that I know I can be. Because I'm really good when I collaborate. I'm horrible when I'm by myself, man. I'm like I'm so much better when there's someone else in the room or I have someone to vibe with or create with. It's not fun. And also it's not fun. So even if I was good at it, I'm probably not good at it because it's not fun. I like having fun. I like enjoying what we do.
I agree. No, same here. I totally agree. I'd love your input. What are some of the best ways for a person to, talking about content, to be able to distribute their content and get it out there for brands and companies to see, for potential partnerships or for growing their platform? You are sort of the king at branding, at strategizing, at social media, and all of that in between. So, for those watching who, are curious, what are some of the ways that a person can do that?
Oh, cool. Good question, by the way. All right. So I definitely have some answers for you on this one. The first is stand out. And one of the first ways to stand out is to win awards. And one of the biggest obstacles to winning awards is people don't even realize that you have to apply to be nominated to win awards. And there's sometimes an application fee and sometimes there's not. But there's no award that's on television, in the film industry. There's no single award that does not include an application fee. Sometimes you have to pay to be in the academy to be able to qualify to submit for. So the whole system and the reason why I'm leading with awards is because brands want to work with award-winning creators. Networks want to work with award-winning creators. I'll tell you what, if I was at a network and my boss said to me, this is exactly, I'm pretending like I didn't, this is exactly what I did. Vin, show me who well, I'm going to make something up that's relevant now. Show me who the 5 best social media company strategists are. Who are the 5 best social media strategists? The first thing I'm going to do when I go to Google is type in award-winning social media strategist. I'm going to see the Webbies come up. I'm going to see, some pretty major awards come up, and they're going to help me sift through instantly, hundreds of thousands of people and give me. And by the way, the beautiful thing about winning awards is that you believe in your work so much that you let it be open for this sort of esteem, and you let it be open for judgment. And it's so friggin' good that let this be the worst thing you've ever made so that the next thing you make is even better than your best. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And I like that about, so I lead with awards because, again, that's just one instant credible way to stand out. Credits on IMDb. I can't tell you how many gigs, shows my friends have done, how many times they did a segment on Today Show or Morning Show or appeared someplace and they didn't rush to IMDb to put it on. And I'm like, you do realize that, like, let's pretend I work at a network. And my boss says to me, Vinny, I need 5 male interior designers who are great for TV. Where do you think I'm going to look? I'm going to go to IMDb. I'm going to look at Rachel Ray. I'm going to look, see all the people that go down there. I'm recognize a couple of names, put them on my list. This way, my research is done in 15, 20 minutes. I have time to go through like content, rabbit hole to see who they are. And I can send that off to my boss and say, here are 5 people, and know that they're award winning, they're getting credit, they're connected to great projects. So credits too. And by the way, I have a document. So if anyone who's watching this, I didn't think I would say this, but anyone's watching this, if you like find me on social media, and I'm at Vinnie Potestivo, like my name, on all social media, I have a document that has over 50. Oh, you're so awesome. Thank you. I have a document that has over 50 digital awards that you could be winning. So if you DM me like award document or awards, or just hi, I saw you on on Ryan Meyers' show, and I want that awards document you're talking about, then I'll send you a link for it, because
send that to me for sure.
Yeah, I usually, it's part of my onboarding process with clients too, because when I have clients that come in, and I have a mastermind group and I have some one-on-one clients, the first out of the gate, I know, by the way, there are so many awards you could be winning. There are awards for marketing as a verb. There are awards for websites as a noun. There are awards for campaigns. There are awards called, my favorite awards is the Stackies. I haven't won one yet, but the Stackies is when you're pretty cunning and good at, like, you're going to take this website and this website and this one and this one, and this is how you're going to zip it all together so it can, and you're literally stacking these websites to build your own sort of marketing pathway, because we all have our unique strengths and our own unique pathways.
Yeah.
And but I have to apply for that one. But anyway, I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, but please reach out to me for awards. I'm so passionate about that. And credits, look, I know you have to pay for IMDb Pro. I know that around Amazon Prime time, they always drop it to like next to nothing, because Amazon and IMDb are all connected. Yeah. So I know they drop that down. But when you do have your IMDb Pro ready, upload as many pictures as possible, because it will literally populate all of your Google Images page, and you have full control over every single image you upload. So if you want to change the images that people see when they type in your name, upload it from your link from your IMDb page, and like that's a great cheat for Google, especially if you have like pictures of like an ex-boyfriend that like don't need to be on Google image page 1 anymore.
Yeah.
And you're like, and then you push them down to page 2 and page 3, and no one looks at page 2 and page 3.
Right. Exactly. I love it. Well, and you gave me some good advice, which I've done and I've seen a good like return on, is when you post something new and you post, instead of liking all the comments that somebody comments, respond to them, of course, but save the likes you told me until you post something new. Then go back and like those comments.
Yeah.
Then those people will see that you've liked it. And if you have a new story that, and you have the little story thing on your profile and you have a new post, they'll click on it and they'll see it. And so I've started to do that since you've told me, and I've seen a difference for sure.
I love that. That's a good, that one works.
It is. Well, what is the number one mistake that you see content creators make on social media or in branding that impacts them down the line, that you wish they wouldn't do, or that would be something that they should stop doing, that so it helps them to be better?
Yes, that it might hurt them down the line, but I think that it's not stopping to breathe, and it's not taking a moment to stop it's not take, and what I mean by that is, that sometimes being always on and sometimes constantly having a message can just be exhaustive. And it's not that there's audience fatigue,
Right.
but it's and I'm not suggesting take one day off. I'm not it's just they just don't, it could be a season, or it can be a week, or it can be miss a campaign, or they just don't stop to process current analytics soon enough. And people in bigger companies, so I'll stick with that. So that's my answer, and now I'll explain what I mean. Yeah, I feel like I'm digging a hole with that one, but it's true, because by the time they learn, most analytics is about a month old.
Mm-hmm.
So why are we talking about and now if you're a larger company and you have live data analysis and you're lucky to have a real marketing team inside, then you have people who are looking at it currently. And I'm not necessarily only talking about paid advertising either. I'm talking about the marketing part, the partnership part too, though, that's always on, that just doesn't allow for the audience to catch up with the message. And if the audience isn't sounds like where I'm at right now. If the audience has no friggin' clue what you're talking about, like me right now, then they're sitting there saying, I got a lot of other things on my mind right now. Like, what's the point of this? Like, how does it? And we can go, and some brands will falter on how do you make them feel, and how do and I just don't feel like that's enough. And I think that mental health is one of those things that is not fully considered in the process of these campaigns. We think about reactions and funnels, but I don't know. I think yeah, it's a mental health issue, though. It's and to me, in what they do, that's wrong, and it's their approach. And I'm overgeneralizing by saying all. It's not all, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
The people who are probably the closest to doing it best, I think, are founder-led businesses, though, where you do have the ability to have a person who's leading the charge, as opposed to a collective of voices that people all agree, like that's the transparency piece, the mental health piece that I'm talking about. If that answers the question.
Yeah, it does. I totally agree, and I think that's so important, and especially today, mental health being at the forefront of everything. I agree with everything you said, and it makes perfect sense.
Thanks.
Yeah. So I know you're only 6 episodes in, but you've had some great guests so far on the podcast. You've Mandy Moore, Danielle Fishel, so many great people. Are you able to reveal who some upcoming guests are, or give us a little taste of who we might see this season on there that you can tell us about?
Yeah, sure. Well, I spent a lot of time with all the TRL VJs, so you can expect to hear from all the TRL VJs.
Wow.
That's all in the can. I'm very excited for my ensemble of awesome people. The one person, Vanessa Lachey, I haven't recorded yet, but she's so busy being the star of CBS's NCIS Hawaii, the first female lead of an NCIS ever.
Oh my gosh.
Not bad, which is kind of cool. And also the male lead of NCIS is Wilmer Valderrama, who also gave MTV Yo Mama. So I'm just trying to take a lot of credit right now for what's going on CBS.
Wow. That's amazing.
Utkarsh is actually in Ghost, and Utkarsh was who I hoped was going to be like Damien's replacement on TRL if TRL had gone, but that didn't work out. So I have all those VJs I'm excited about. Last week I sat down with Christina Milian, which was exciting. She just had a birthday. And I've been singing AM to PM all night long. And somebody hit the lights. She actually told me that I was the person who introduced her So she was in my office. She's so funny. She was in my office at MTV because we were doing a show called Wannabes, where she was going to be the host, and people come in and they compete to be in a little music video. And I had like in the music video of like the artist of the choice, so Britney. But then if it was Britney was the theme of the episode, the three judges, like one would have been like Tina Landon, her choreographer, her stylist, and like her vocal coach or something like that. And then they would all judge whatever. So she was in my office, and I forgot why she was there, but it was TRL time, and we have like a feed that I can switch to my TV and I can see downstairs. And Janet Jackson was downstairs. And she was like, "Oh my God, Janet Jackson's downstairs." And I was like, "Do you want to go down and meet her?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "What? I introduced you to Janet Jackson?" She goes, "Yeah. You literally took me by the hand. You walked into the studio, into the green room. Yeah, I had worked with her literally just like weeks before." And I was like, "Yeah, it's great to see you. I want you to meet Christina." And I kind of stepped, Then I get nervous because I'm like, "Don't talk to me. I don't want to be in this like." I'm not qualified to be in the dialogue. I'm just good at the monologue part,
Right. Oh.
No interaction, Just I'm good at my part, and I'll say my line, and then so it was so cool to touch base and have that with Christina, and she's living in Paris, and we catch up on that. And yesterday, I sat down with Jamie Lynn Sigler. And we talked about The Sopranos and Entourage and Cinderella and Beauty and the Beast and Eartha Kitt and just like the Broadway geeks that we were.
Yeah, she's done it all.
What's that?
I said she's done it all, really. I mean,
she has. Yeah, she's so awesome, and she's working. And she's got a nice part in this next I forgot the name of the series on CBS, but I'm excited for her so I'm looking forward. And then everyone's talking about Sopranos too, so it was super cool just to
yeah,
it's super cool. I don't know, I just thought it was so neat. I'm like, oh my God, everyone's they're talking about you. Tell them stop.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. Yeah, because there's that new like Many Saints of Newark. The Sopranos, the start of the pre-Sopranos story. So I think that's really cool. Well,
and she's been podcasting. She's like her and Rob Eiler and Kasim. The three of them have, but Rob, her brother from Sopranos, they have a fun Pajama Pants. It's called. They have a fun podcast that's still current, and she's got another one too that might be coming back. But it was good to get some tips from a pro. But it's funny with Mandy Moore's episode, we talked about, or maybe I didn't put it in. But we talked about, maybe I didn't put it in, but because we went on a whole rant about spring break, because our spring breaks it was weird. Like I would go to spring break. First off, I was in choir and I went to choir tour in college. I didn't do anything audacious or crazy during, like that wasn't me. Like at Wagner College, we were like writing commercials and playing tag and playing musicals, and like partying wasn't like at a spring break. Maybe other people did, but not the theater majors, arts admin. We didn't do that. No, not us. Not us arts administration majors.
Right?
Yeah, right. But, I don't know. Anyway,
amazing.
Good times.
Oh, I bet. Well, when you worked at MTV and you worked in, reality casting, which I know you still do, but not as often.
Yeah.
What were some of the proudest moments for you in doing that? Like, was there a specific project or show or time that you look back on that really was a proud moment for you?
Yeah.
In those times.
Yeah, I think one of them is in casting and one of them is in development. So in casting, I was given the job at MTV to find the host for the challenge. And I first cast Johnny Mosley, and then I cast Dave Mira, God rest his soul. And we ultimately, and then cast the third and final and finite, I should say, host, TJ Lavin, on the challenge. And I bring him up because the production, and we talk about this in the podcast actually too. No, the production company is very vocal about him not being the guy. He wasn't their favorite pick, and they had a different person. And I kind of liked their person, but I'll tell you the truth. And this comes up in the podcast. The
Yeah.
truth is TJ did something to me that made me feel a certain way that I wanted to bring to MTV that unfortunately this other athlete just didn't do. And when I met TJ maybe 10 years before I was able to cast him on the challenge. Like, at the very beginning of my career, I would have to go to Rock and Jock Music Festival in Las Vegas to do like these MTV casting things. And he was one of the athletes. And he was nice and respectful and courteous. And I was a coordinator, so I just wanted to make everyone happy. And so we sort of hit it off. And he was in New York signing with William Morris for music. And I kept telling him, like, come swing by MTV. And he kind of knew I did something, but he didn't really know, like, to the extent of it, like what I did. So of course he pulls the boss move after he signs with WME. And he's like, well, I got to go see Vinnie Potestivo at MTV. And they're like, huh? And he comes down and he just signed a music deal with them. And I was like, and he comes into my office and he sees like these rainbows. Like I have like some rainbow flags, some pride flags, and probably like a Keel's pride shirt. And he's like, are you gay? I was like, what? You know, like, first off, this is casting. They're like, you can't ask certain questions. And also, I ask the questions. Like, what is this disruption of policy here? And usually that could be such a violating question, or it could be such an inappropriate question. But in that moment with him, I saw an ally. I saw a peer who respected me and actually was a little intimidated. So he had to put me in a certain bucket. And I'm like, would you do what you got to do, guy? But I saw an ally. And that was right at a time in 2003 where I was looking for allies, specifically for LGBTQIA causes and I was going to say families and couples, but we weren't families and couples back then. So like and I wanted people who I thought would show up for us and fight for us. And they didn't always have to identify as LGBTQIA. And here I have a great straight ally who I think brings a lot of authority to the challenge. And it's super cool that he's like the old white guy on the network, him and Rob Dyrdek, you know. Yeah. But like, so yeah. I'm super proud of that moment in casting. And then I'll make it quick. In development, sometimes when you pass on a show, you don't have to bring the show back. And there was a show that talent wanted to get pitched to MTV, and they pitched it, and they passed on it, and so you can go pitch it to other networks. And he went over the holiday break. He was dating Christina Milian. Wow. And they went over the holiday break, and Nick Cannon and Christina Milian recorded the sizzle for what ended up being Wildin' Out. And I remember knowing before break that because he was like, should I do it? Is it worth putting my money in? If you guys aren't going to take it, then I can, I'm allowed to go elsewhere. And I just remember being like, yeah, but if you do it, you can come back, like show them. They don't show them. You just got to show them. And I remember, and you have to show them, you have to show them the guest. If you want to do this with two teams, you have to have two teams there. You can't say, now imagine this with you. Like you have to, and it could just be 3-4 people, whatever. So it was him at that point, his girlfriend, which is cool. Because if you watch like what was the show that they did? Love Don't Cost a Thing. Is that what the show that they did?
I don't.
Movie.
I don't remember. I don't know.
Like the remake of Love Don't Cost a Thing. The remake. Anyway, and that show created so many jobs for so many different types of comedians, especially female comedians and other voices that were not hitting air. And like I'm so proud of those two moments. One, casting TJ, and then Nick Cannon, and getting Nick Cannon on Wildin' Out and keeping that show at that network, and what he's done to catapult the careers of other people with that. It's just that's so cool that when you teach people, creatives, like, so all I did, and even with Ashton, like Ashton didn't come to MTV looking to pitch a show. He didn't He's a movie star and a TV star. It was the last thing he needs is another day job. He
Right.
wanted to be a TV mogul. He wanted to own a production company. He wanted a hit series. He knew he could get that at MTV, and he knew he had to be a part of it, which he did not want to be a part of it. You know, he didn't want to be a part of punk because he thought maybe people might think he was like a VJ or misrepresent, you know, what he's trying to do. And he had to come up with a unique way to show people he was producer, master of all ceremonies, but producer of the project in a unique, creative way. And giving people like that the tools and skill set to, and then access at that point, because you needed access for television to distribute it, but giving them the tools and the skills to create those stories is exactly what I'm doing now with businesses and talent brands and journalists and actors and QVC brands and Sephora brands. It's exactly what I'm helping. You teach someone live stream. Imagine, you know, all of a sudden, Peter Thomas Roth be having his own channel on live stream every single day on LinkedIn. I wish he would, by the way. Peter, if you're watching this, please do.
It's so rewarding, isn't it? To do.
Oh, I love it. And I love it. And I also feel like I've proven that I can focus and push the ball over, whatever that phrase is, and I can be consistent, and I can do it a couple of times in different genres. I feel like I've proven that I can do that. Now, what I want to prove is that I can be as impactful in my current endeavors or more impactful in my current endeavors than I was just by helping out those masters and experts in their fields. And I still do that. I still have one-on-one clients. I want one-on-one clients. I love people who can make things happen, and I know how to get an audience to show up, and I know how to get them to move. So I love, you know, a motivated storyteller.
Oh yeah. Well, I agree. I agree with that, and I think I may have told you I've started, you know, coaching and consulting a little bit, and it's been rewarding. And you know, you mentioned earlier, or just a few minutes ago, about you even having somebody have their own live stream channel, and it's rewarding to the few people that I do work with who have like wanted to start a website like I created, and like do a theater website or create an like theater blog, and you know, didn't know how to get to that next level, and for something that you or I and me would take for granted, like, oh, you know, it's just so easy. It's second nature to do it, right? But to stand and realize that it's so rewarding to see like somebody be so excited to discover that like Instagram, you know, the Instagram stories and how impactful they are, how impactful it is to do YouTube and like content, and to, you know, go past just having a website and, you know, learning new things as you go along. And also as I go along too, and taking what I know from, you know, what I've learned with my personal coach, shout out to Brett Shuford, who I'll have on in a few weeks, and for people like you and everything in between, and helping people to do that, you know, even just starting a live stream or starting a blog or taking that Instagram to the next level. It's so rewarding.
It is. It really is, because it becomes bigger than you.
Yeah.
Quickly, very quickly, it becomes bigger than you. The capabilities are exponential, and you become a permanent exponent in that person's success. And I love that part about casting 20 years later, when I look at how lucky I was to cast the people that I cast that consistently have still continued to create pop culture, and, you know, the fact that they're still super relevant, and like Lala is killing it, and Vanessa is killing it, and Mandy is killing it, and Carson is killing. You know, everyone's the kids are all right. You know, everyone's doing great, and they're coming at a time where where we need it. And
yes,
and they were there when I needed them to launch my podcast, because I'll tell you what, people weren't tuning into me. I mean, I know, sure, maybe they would like me if they got to know me, but like even then, my friends wouldn't tune in to listen to me on a podcast just to listen to me talk. The fact that I'm able to pull on these relationships to kickstart this, and they'll be back on again too repetitively, because they're not one-off conversations.
wow.
But the fact that they were there when I asked them to be there is something that I'll never forget. if I'm ever having a moment of doubt. If a friend has ever shown up for you and when you ask them to, just never, ever, ever, ever forget the power that you have in that moment. Or not had in that moment, but have
Right.
from evidence of that moment. Meaning that people show up if you ask them to. And I just wanted to make sure, I was asking them to show up to something valuable.
Yeah, that's so impactful. Well, where can we listen to I Have a Podcast? What are the channels it's on the podcast networks? Where can we listen?
I love it. I have a podcast.com. Best place to listen to it. If you like Apple, if you like Google, you can find Spotify, you can find us there. I'm a huge fan of Good Pods, the Good Pods app. If you don't have this app, it's in the Google store, and it's also in the Google Play Store, App Store. It's a wonderful little yellow app, little circle with some headphones that they look like they're like zipping out. It's called Good Pods. And it is a podcast platform for independent podcasts. And not only will you discover my podcast there, if you would like that, please shoot me again a DM, and I'll send you guys any links to anything you're looking for. But the Good Pods app is just a great app if you're looking to discover independent podcasts. And maybe in about a month, you might want to check back on Good Pods, because maybe Ryan Myers will be on a podcast.
Exactly.
You think a month? Is it okay?
No, I think a month is. I think that's good. Yes, I agree. You're
all right.
Back in a month.
I'm excited.
Me too. Me too. Before we end, rattle them off. Where can we find you? What's your social media? Your websites? Where are we keeping up with you?
Oh, I appreciate that. I'm at Vinnie Potestivo on IG and everywhere else. VinniePotestivo.com is the best place to reach me. So Vinnie, just me, just reach out and say hi. And I have some great masterminds that are coming up. I have an amazing 90-day mastermind that launches November 2nd. Mm-hmm. So if you're in the TV media space already as like an existing producer and have a project that you want to get lifted into the broadcast space, or you're looking for additional distribution amplification, this might be a really good mastermind for you. Otherwise, I'm just here to help out, and I show up. So let's do this again. Cool?
Oh, yes. Let's do this again for sure. And listen, for those of you watching, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel so you never miss an episode of Live with Ryan. Any of my other content I post. Be sure to also follow me across social media at Rye_Myers on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, which is an exciting new platform that I've just gotten on. I know it's not new, but new for me that I've gotten on. And if you're on Facebook, give me a like at official Rye Myers. I love hearing from all of you. And like Vinnie mentioned earlier about reaching out to him with guests, reach out to me with any guest recommendations that you want to see. And other than that, I will see you every Thursday here in Hell's Kitchen at 7:30 for Live with Ryan Friends on Broadway, your only Broadway talk show in the heart of Hell's Kitchen itself. Vinnie, thank you so much for coming on to do my show. I know you're so busy, and it means the world to me that you've taken the time to do this.
Oh, you're welcome, but I'm glad I could. I'm sorry it's taken so long, but I wish we could stay longer too. I'll come back. Please invite me back.
Oh, well, welcome back anytime. StreamYard doesn't have an end time, so you're welcome back anytime. There's so much more to talk about for sure. And I mean, every time, we chat, we have such a good time, and I always learn so much from you. You are a bucket of wisdom, a bucket of knowledge, and the fact that you just want to help so many people and use your gifts for good is something that I love,
Yeah. Well, you gotta help everybody, because if you wanna do this for a long time and you want to do it with good people, you just gotta give everyone the goods that you got, so that everyone thrives and succeeds at the same time. Otherwise, quitting and failure happen at the worst times, at your weakest time, unfortunately, which is never the time to quit. By the way, which is a whole different topic. But so I'm a firm believer in oversharing, and that's why I'm like, I'm excited to see this on Apple Podcasts, and hopefully it will hit the top 100 charts in the indie podcast unit. I mean, there's we've got some place that's exciting. We've
We
got some
do.
new territory to grow into.
We do. Well, thank you. Let me hit the end broadcast button and stick around for a sec. But thank you so much, Vinnie.
Thank you. Bye.